Hey everybody, Elle here, playing Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key, and welcome to Proud Mode 101. For those of you who aren't familiar, Proud Mode is a more difficult way to play the main story that offers exclusive rewards including the Proud Keyblades and the special materials that you need to upgrade them. Proud Mode has already been in JP for well over 6 months now, and should be coming to the NA Global version sometime in January. To access Proud Mode, you'll first need to be in the main story, and then you just tap the red Proud button on the right hand side of the screen. That same button will change to the standard button and take you back to the main story if you wish to exit Proud Mode. But now that we're in here, you'll see that the quest information box turned red, and we'll start off quest number 1 with a level 210 Shadow, which is pretty serious business right off the bat. The yellow thing, that's the reward for the first objective, is called Electrum, and that's what we're going to need to upgrade our Proud Mode Keyblades. And speaking of Keyblades, we unlock the Sleeping Lion on quest number 3, the Counterpoint on quest 103, and then the Fenrir on quest 203. All of these will want Electrum to be upgraded to plus 25, and Electrum is always going to be the reward for one-turning all enemies in these Proud Mode quests. The other objectives will usually give you some combination of Avatar Coins, Magic Mirrors, and Airplane Ducklings. Okay, before we try the quest, let's go over the 5 things you'll need to know about Proud Mode. Number 1, your Keyblade is pre-selected for each Proud Mode quest and it cannot be changed. So this means we can only use our 3 wishes here and nothing else. We can't pick something that we like better, it is just the one Keyblade. Number 2, every quest has a special rule that your medals must follow in order for you to use their abilities. So the special rule is in the box in the upper left with the flashing yellow border. And on this one, it's for medals to be gilted at 40% or higher. So since my first 4 medals in this setup aren't gilted, you'll see that they have this flashing nope sign over them and that they're blocked off. I can still equip these and bring them into the quest if I want, but if I do that, they'll only be good for taps and swipes. So if you have some strong setups that you're used to bringing everywhere your A game, those probably aren't going to work in Proud Mode. You'll most likely have to rebuild your Keyblades and come up with a specific setup that works within the constraints of the special rules. So in this case, the illustrated Kyrie that we all know and love for the plus 3 buff, she's blocked off, she's not usable here. So let's go into our inventory. We'll swap her out for something else. Something that needs to be at 40% gilt or higher, so I'll fall back on this Vivi, for example. And coming back in here, you'll see that my Vivi is gilted at 47%, so he does qualify for the rule, and he's no longer blocked off. Okay, moving on, number 3 is that we cannot use any jewels to continue in Proud Mode. Not that we should anyway, so this is probably a good thing. No more accidentally tapping the using 100 jewels to continue option. Okay, and then number 4 is that, also a good thing actually, Proud Mode does give you free jewels for every 5 quests you complete, just like the main story, so there's extra incentive to complete these on top of the Keyblades and Electrum. And finally, number 5, this is the big one here, no friend medals in Proud Mode. So this one really hurts newer players who can usually piggyback off a party's shared list to kind of breeze past the main story. No friend medals means if you don't have something that works within the special rule in your own inventory, you'll pretty much be out of luck until you either pull something that works or roll a higher gilt. So you can see as we enter the quest, no shared list pops up and we just go straight in with 5 medals instead of 6. It'll be just like Colosseum. And if you look in the bottom left hand corner of the screen, my AT Donald that's not gilted has the blocked off sign over his gauge costs. And you can see that also in the deck info grid, that the middle 3 medals are all blocked off. We can't activate any of those abilities. So even though we have some really powerful medals like the Illustrated Shion and Illustrated Terra, tier 4 premiums, but if they don't fit the rule, you can't use their abilities. But we can activate +1 buff on Vivi. And my AT Donald, even though he's blocked off, I do have an attack boost all 2 or an attack up all M skill on him, and because I did pull him boosted, even though I don't use his ability much, he is a good candidate for that skill. And attack up all skills, even though they're pretty worthless in all other parts of the game, they can come in handy in Proud Mode because they do have pretty high activation rates, high proc rates, like you see there, and it deals a pretty good chunk of damage. So even without using abilities, we can sort of make that work. But in any case, if we do have a medal that fits within the rule, we'll be able to activate it, like this gilded 91% Jafar. So he'll come in really handy. So sometimes, even if you don't have a full deck of 5 medals that all fit in the rule, that's okay. If you have one really strong medal that's gilded that fits the rule, sometimes that's going to be enough. So don't worry about finding 5 medals that all fit in the rule. It's probably not necessary most of the time. Okay, let's move on to quest number 2. Okay, the special rule this time is for medals to be gilded at 70% or higher. So this means tier 3 or tier 4 gilded medals. This is a pretty high barrier right off the bat. Not all the rules are going to be this rough, but this is one of the more difficult power checks, I guess. It punishes you for guilting your tier 3s outside of a guild campaign, that's for sure. But let's roll with the same deck here, even though our Vivi's blocked off. We can probably do this one with just the gilded Jafar. So the special rules in each Proud Mode quest, they can get pretty creative with these. It is just a test of how many different kinds of medals you have in your inventory. If you just have the wide range of things that can fit into these special rules, sometimes the rules are going to be based off of number of hits or the level of your medal. Sorry. Let's see. Special rules can also be based off of the gauge cost of your medals, the upright medals or reverse medals only. I've seen one down the line that asks for random attack medals only. They do get really creative with them, and the best way to prepare for that is pretty much just to hoard everything. Don't be scared to upgrade your inventory slots. That's probably going to be better than if you sell off your medals that you think, oh, I have something better than this, and I'm never going to use that. And then you run into the Proud Mode quest where you think, oh, that would have been handy. I wish I hadn't sold that. So I think it's a better investment to just keep all your medals and just to upgrade your inventory space as you go, so you don't run into the situation where a specific Proud Mode quest with a special rule kind of hits you right in the gap of where your inventory is. Okay, anyway, let's go on to number 3. So this one has the special rule for the medals to have tier 3 gilt or higher. That doesn't mean that they need to be gilded, they just need to be tier 3 or higher, so you can see that it's just the Vivi that's blocked off here. So this means we'll actually be able to use our Shion and also our Terra. And of course, sometimes if a Proud Mode quest is too difficult, we can actually skip try to skip as many enemies as we can. We can try to bypass all the enemies, go straight to the target, and then we can take it down with just the Burst or Nova. Like I was saying earlier, Proud Mode came out in JP well over 6 months ago, and Burst didn't exist back then, so it was a lot more difficult. But now that we have access to Burst or Nova, it is kind of a get out of jail free card. Even if you don't have medals that fit the special rule, if you can make it to the target, you can kind of just cheese it, just so you can pass the quest and then come back to it later if you pick up whatever medals that you need to fit within that special rule. Okay, that's the first 3 quests. We'll take a peek at some of these other ones. This one, quest number 4, it just wants your medals to be level 100, so that's pretty easy. So you'll see that there is a pretty big range of different rules. This one wants upright medals only, which is kind of interesting because the 3 wishes, of course, has 2 reverse slots. You can either just bring in your reverse slot, your reverse medals in this case, and just use them for taps and swipes, or you can bring some upright medals, maybe a buff medal that you don't really care about the damage on, and you can still activate it even though it's on a reverse slot. So there are many different ways to build these. You just kind of have to experiment with it. Sometimes it'll require running more than once, and do remember, you don't have to complete all the objectives at the same time. If you can't, it's totally fine to complete the objectives over 2 or even 3 runs. And let's go back to that. Let's just do the second one here without the movie. See, Guilted 70% or higher. So again, we can bring a fancier setup if we've been playing longer and we've picked up a lot more pieces that work. Instead of having it just feel so difficult, we can just get through it a lot more easily after we've been playing longer and picked up more pieces. So again, Proud Mode, pretty much a challenge of things you have in your inventory, whether you can make whatever you have work within that special rule. If you've pulled enough things, if you've guilted enough things, that's kind of why it's a little bit controversial for the NA version, especially if that ends up getting the same rules we have in JP, where the first 2 quests require medals with 40 or 70% higher guild. But now that they've been giving out some free event medals that you can farm to guild, it won't be nearly as bad. But basically, you just kind of have to be a well-rounded player. You got to at least leveled up all your different keyblades to an acceptable level to beat these, and just have wide enough range of medals to make things work. But anyway, that's the first look, or Proud Mode 101 video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying this channel, and I'll see you guys next time.